Alright, I'm going to do a quick edit today of a hands-on video. This is not going to be for my main YouTube channel, most likely, but I also have another YouTube channel, and I also do Amazon Creator Hub videos, so you can get affiliate revenue from Amazon. Depending on, you basically have a page where you put content, and you can either get hosted on actual product pages sometimes, or you have your, like I said, your own little page. But this specific video, I'm trying to make some money back from stuff I buy. It's just an easy way to do it with these simple hands-on videos, unboxings, stuff like that. In that case, we've got Magix Vegas Pro 18 for the video editor. I've used Magix, well, not Magix, but Vegas Pro since version 15, and then before that I was using just Vegas, the consumer version. Works pretty well. It's paid. DaVinci Resolve, if you're interested in a free program, you can try that, but this is what I use. Let's see. Got a little bit of music playing in the background. I don't know if it's legible, but basically first I will show what my hands-on video setup looks like, because I do have that, like a little video clip of it. So we go in here. Here's my hands-on video setup. Up here we have the Ninja 400 from Welight. I think they don't sell this version anymore. I don't expect anything else from them with my last email that I got. That's a different story. But here is the whole area that I use. This table I actually was using for my computer desk for many years, but then I switched off to a better one. So now I'm using it here. In this case, we've got the M6 Mark II from Canon for the video, 4K, and a microphone connected to the camera itself. I try to sit right here and try, at least attempt, to get decent audio quality. But I'm moving around, and that kind of makes the audio fluctuate a little bit here and there, which isn't great. But for these videos, I'm not super concerned about it. On a slick tripod with a nice head. I'm not sure of the company for the head, but had it for many years. And then HDMI from the camera to the Ninja 5 down here. This is what records actual video. It does pass through the audio, which is nice. Quick note, I'm using the H.265 encoder, which is another $100 to use that with the Ninja 5. It makes small files, so that's a big benefit. I have the lowest quality setting, 4K 8-bit 420, and it works, which we can look at the file sizes. And I also have a secondary audio. Probably can't see much of it, but I need to figure out a better way to get higher quality secondary audio. But you need a powered microphone for the Ninja 5 when you're doing that, so yeah. And that's how that looks. Pretty much it. Also I have this secondary light just for added fill, and then you've got, of course, the big softbox up there. We'll be editing this video on this Ugreen with a... I tried to buy the M.2 for that computer that I talked about recently, but it didn't work. So I bought this thing just to have it and use it in some fashion. That's pretty much it. Also a cutting board, but I also have this other black kind of writing material. I don't know. It just makes it easier. That's pretty much it for the hands-on setup. All right. If you're curious, I recorded that with the M50 plus this little JJC SGM V1 manual audio to about 55% and 11 to 22. Most of my hands-on videos, 11 to 22. Okay. Let's put the music back on. So this is the Ninja 5 footage that I got out of that. I did multiple clips, and I talk and kind of do stuff, and that's pretty much it. We can look at the file sizes real quick. Let's go into detail view. So we've got the first clip, it's 8 minutes 35 seconds, around 2 gigabytes, which for 4K is pretty good. And these are H.265 HiVec encodings. 8-bit 420, I believe. And you can see in the audio, there's some high points where they're always a hassle, but that was something, and you can always deal with it. It's just a hassle. At this point, I go through the footage. I try to save portions that are no sound in the background, so that I can apply it to noise reduction with Audacity. One note about Audacity is that you probably don't want to use the current version, because they added something called telemetry to the code, which basically kind of watches what you're doing. Not good. It is open source software, and I think there is already a fork of Audacity, but I'm currently using the version just behind the one where they added that telemetry information. It's stupid, but yeah. So in this case, I go through the footage and edit. I try to, like I said, I try to save any quiet portions of the video, and I put them at the end of the footage for now. I also have quite a few key combinations that I do. Control L, which enables and disables the auto ripple effect. Basically, when you delete a portion of the video, if it's enabled, it'll push everything to the side, which is nice. So I'm going to put that on for the moment. And you can see if I move this clip here, everything behind it moves with it. Now, it's not perfect, and there are multiple ways to use it, but we can potentially talk about that later. Hey, this is Scott for Free Bonsai. Today I'm taking a look at this Ugreen M.2 NVMe SSD enclosure with 2 different ports on it. What you can do here is, while the video is playing, you can press the L key on the keyboard to make it faster on it. So you
got some more convenience with that.
So if you want to quickly go through the footage, do that.
Different ports on it, so you've got some more convenience with that. In the back, let's look at a little bit more information before we try out this SSD. USB-C with USB-A. Also USB 3.1 Gen 2, 10 gigabits per second maximum.
In situations like this, I would probably clip out these portions. And it supports the M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs with the size of 2242 or 2280. So what I'm looking for here is every good piece of footage. Aluminum enclosure. So you can see I'm
let's pop it open.
Screwing up there. In this case, I would skip all of that stuff and just probably use about that much.
Pop it open.
Maybe a little bit more. Who knows? I might delete that. I keep hitting this camera. Okay, let's see. So sometimes it's good to have footage like this, but it's not helpful to the viewer, really. Let me get this a little closer. There we go.
Instructions.
Might put that in there. But this is exactly how exciting video editing is.
Here we go.
It is not especially exciting.
German.
That would be decent B-roll maybe, but I don't think I would use it for like an actual clip. If you press the U key, it unbinds the video and the audio, but you also need to turn off your auto ripple. So I turn that off. Well, this thing is stuff getting in my way. So now I can move these independently, the video and the audio, and Control X cuts that, which I want to save that piece of audio because it's got some quiet portions for the noise reduction. Although there's quite a bit in there that I can use. We can potentially use that. I'll just throw it back here in case I want it. There we go. Something in my eye. Okay. For English. Oh, each one has. Here's our installation. So we remove both port. So I messed up right there. For the installation, we can delete all of that because it's no good. For the installation, we're going to have to remove both port covers.
And then press open a button to pull out the mainboard.
Rotate.
At an angle of 45 degrees anti-clockwise to release the fastener on the mainboard.
And then you
insert your M.2 into the slot.
So I'm kind of debating with myself related to this, and the past videos that I've done with these hands-on gear videos is that I have been including some type of useful information to set up, use it type of thing, and I think it's good, but I'm sure there are people that are not interested in that. Who knows? I'm going to likely include it this time. After that, we have to attach the fastener and tighten, although you can see how much time that it's taking. Tighten by rotating
at an angle of 45 degrees clockwise. And reinstall the case. So it looks like you don't need any type of screwdriver, which is nice.
That's a good point, which is helpful for anyone trying to buy it. No screwdriver is needed. In this case, all this footage needs to be compressed in some fashion. That music is loud. There we go. So I'm just hitting the delete key on the keyboard to delete the selected clip area. I'm gonna cut that out. Paste it back here. And the scroll wheel is it the way to zoom, which is nice. I find that Vegas has a certain way of editing that feels more freeing than other types of editors I've used. Angle of 45 degrees anti-clockwise to release the fastener on the main board. One interesting thing that I can do here is you see that portion of empty talking where I was like just pausing for a second. I can unbind the video and the audio with U and then use S to split, delete that. Well, actually, Control Z, turn off the auto ripple so it doesn't pull the clips back, then delete it, and then move this over because I'm not talking to the camera, so what you're seeing on screen doesn't really matter if it's exact with the audio that was being said at the time. And that way I can just clip it out and then we have a clean transition. The fastener on the main board. So it just works. There we go. And then I turn on the auto ripple again. And then you insert your M.2. One thing with Vegas, definitely keep saving. So Control S, I do quite a bit. It will crash on the worst possible opportunity. You'll get a crash. 2 into the slot. In this case, I like that. I'm gonna save it for the noise reduction. Mm. 5 degrees clockwise. So this is pretty bad, we're going to do the same process where I cut out pieces. And then just use whatever video is there, it doesn't matter. So we've got a pretty smooth thing. Instructions.
For the installation, we're going to have to remove both port covers and then press open a button to pull out the mainboard. Rotates at an angle of 45 degrees anti-clockwise to release the fastener on the mainboard, and then you insert your M.2 into the slot. After that, we have to attach the fastener and tighten by rotating at an angle of 45 degrees.
So usually what I do here is that I clip first everything, and then I'll come back and then like punch in and stuff, which I can at least show you right now what I would kind of do. It's not super relevant in this area, but we'll do it. So I hit this little crop event, pan crop, click that, and then you've got this window that shows you the video, shows you these like dotted dashed lines. So you can zoom in as you want. I'm going to render it 4K. I mean, I'm going to render at 1080p, so I have a lot of extra pixels to work with when I crop in this case. You can see up here where it's positioned with height, 2768 at the moment, and 1080p is 1920. So that's how much crop area I've got with good data. But I don't even need that much. So in this case, I have that cropped quite a bit. Instructions. And you can see it. For the installation, we're going to have to remove both port covers. Really in there. And then press open a button. Good enough. Good enough. So here I am pulling out the actual device. There are some screws here. That's not a screw. Some type of screw. There is some type of screw in this little bag. It was what attaches the SSD to the case. That open real quick. It's a little plastic. It's a little plastic nub. The drive itself. So I'll come back to this and well, let's do it now. So I ungroup the two and then delete the pauses. In the case, I often forget to turn off auto ripple, so it comes back when I don't want it to come back. That's good enough. It's a little plastic nub, so it's so much smoother. Turn on auto ripple again. Got the drive itself. Let's split that, delete, cut, and then paste this down here for the noise reduction. I go probably way too much with that, but it doesn't matter. We've got the drive itself. It's got some weight to it. Interesting. Very true. Interesting. Build quality feels pretty good so far. So in this case, let's delete that. You can see the audio is really hitting when I pop that off. So there's a few ways to deal with that. You can just get a portion of the audio and maybe ungroup the clips. You can go in here, whoops, and split this. So I still have the audio, but you see this little marker where you can lower how loud it is, the gain. So it's much more manageable. That's good. So probably go about right here and then delete this.
So far.
So you still see it happening, but you're not waiting and waiting for it to happen type of thing.
USB-A port on there.
I have the reason I was putting my hand right there is that the M6 Mark II does struggle a little bit where I want it to focus and where it decides to focus.
My side.
This one we can just skip the whole popping the thing off.
On there. My side. USB-C. So you can connect to phone.
A quick note about the specific thing. The port's right on the edge like that, not especially great. I wish it came with like a extension, which I probably have to buy.
Phones and similar devices.
Because my specific phone case, it doesn't leave much room.
Very nice. And we've got the open connection to get it going.
So you could see that I was really pausing there, which is not great for the flow of the video. In that case, we can easily go in here, take out the pauses. Scroll that over. So it's gonna, how I'm clipping this is gonna make it more challenging later on to deal with levels of the voice. Normally I'd try to avoid doing that to such a degree at this point. But it's basically fine either way. And then I want something here to just indicate what's happening. That should be good. We don't need that. I can just lower the gain on that quite a bit.
Get it going.
So just show it happening. Actually, let's do more. A little bit more. There we go. Again, let's take that for noise reduction.
So it actually comes with two of those little connectors. And I assume I can leave this one in there, put the other one in. That makes sense.
That should be useful.
And here,
here's a nice B-roll clip we can potentially use. Let me just take it out of there. Okay, actually I'm gonna put it up here so I notice it.
on there for the drive.
Oh, I'm talking, so probably use that instead. Don't need that.
That makes sense. We have the actual connection point.
So the goal here is just to do a quick edit. With these type of videos, I'm not super concerned about making it flow amazingly well.
The actual connection point on there for the drive.
It's good.
This is the 2242 slot. You've got the 2242.
So you can see I messed up the first one, or I noticed that it wasn't focused properly.
You've got the 2242 connection and also the 2280.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice indeed.
It's a little bit of...
So I messed up again?
Back, you really can't see too much, but there is some ventilation.
So you notice here, all of this is messed up. It's no good. I either said something I didn't like, or but it doesn't matter, but we're going to get rid of it and save these. paste that back there. You can see some of this is not what I want. And you can also just get, whoops. If you press the D key, you cycle these, what type of tool you're using. So down here, all these different things. And then also this row where it says envelope edit, selection edit, normal edit, and it says Control D to jump back to that. So I press D, getting the time on, press D, see it switched, press D, switch. So it's cycling between those, and then Control D goes back to the default. In that case, I want to hit D, D, so I have this multi-selection tool, picks all of that, and then hit the U key to ungroup. And I can hit delete. Actually, before I do, turn off the auto ripple, Control L, then hit delete. Now we've got those clips without the video because we don't need the video. Then Control D to go back to the normal tool. I go in here. Let me put the auto ripple back on. Delete that to move this over. What I'm doing here is I'm just removing the audio that I see peaks. I don't want the peaks in this case because this is basically what the noise reduction will use to decide what is background noise. So we definitely don't want weird sounds in the background for noise reduction. That should be good. What is that? Okay. Go back.
In the back, you really can't see too much, but there is some ventilation, which is good. So on the bottom. Let's get it set up. On the bottom.
I don't know if I want to waste footage for that. Yeah. Let's do it. So here I'm going to look for my next thing. See, I was readjusting the camera to try to find a new angle. And actually all of this, pretty much everything is a no-go. I was having trouble installing it and it just wasn't useful to me. So I pulled out the 32mm f1.4 and got a different angle, as you can see. So there's the 22 at 11 to 22mm at 22mm, and then this one is the 32mm, and that's what I use. Actually, I'm gonna straighten that, but we'll get to it. I'm gonna save a few areas of this for the noise reduction, which I don't need this much, but I usually like to get a good sample. That should be enough. Then DD, Control X, paste it back here. And then I can select these, turn the auto ripple off, delete. Whoops, I thought I turned it off. It is off. Whoop. Okay, there we go. U to ungroup, then delete. Lots of stuff you have to press and all the time. There's a lot of key combinations just to make it faster. Of course, you can go into the menus and do all that stuff, but you definitely want to learn enough on the keyboard with this program.
I have this NVMe 256. Really can't see too much, but there is some. All right, we have our device ready to go. I'm gonna try to install it now. We have the NVMe 256 gigabytes from Western Digital, but
so this, save that, delete that. Let's cut. Let's put it back there. Doesn't matter. All right. Save it.
I'm gonna try to install it now. We have the NVMe 256 gigabytes from.
You can see here that lines are not straight. I didn't notice it at the time, but if you go into the event pan crop tool, we can straighten it very easily like that, and then you have to zoom in a little bit. That should be good. Save it.
So on the bottom, I'm gonna try to
Just clean this up a little bit. Control L to turn the auto ripple back on.
I'm gonna try to install it now. We have NVMe 256 gigabytes from Western Digital with the M key.
So what I'm going to do here is zoom in on the M.2. Let's go all the way. Of course, I'm going to render at 1080p, not 4K, so I have a lot of pixels to work with. That should be good.
So on the bottom, I'm gonna try to install it now. We have NVMe 256 gigabytes from Western Digital with the M key.
So all of this is probably not going to be used, so cut that out. And then paste it back here. See where was I?
from Western.
There we go.
In this case, I think you need to take this little connection point and put it down there first. Otherwise, it's not going to fit. But you
That was
also
not-
have to align
That was not the easiest thing to get in there.
it properly to make sure it actually goes in the.
And then my hand is
so
blocking
something
some
like
of the...
that, maybe. So that's not going to work.
The struggle is real.
I want this pin to go downwards.
So I have to figure out what to delete here.
Connection point and put it down there first. Otherwise, it's not going to fit. So it actually comes with two of those. Not too much, but there is some ventilation. 256 gigabytes. I think you need to take this little connection point and put it down there first.
So I'll delete all of this. I'm going to save some of this for noise reduction. So we'll take those two clips, paste it back here, and then we'll zoom in
Properly to gigabytes from Western Digital. Case, I think you need to take this little.
Whoops.
Otherwise, it's not going to fit. But you also have to align it properly to. And so something like that, maybe. So that's not going to work.
Yeah, definitely quite a few mess
Go
ups.
downwards. Bit. But you also have to align action point and put it down there first.
So let's delete that.
M key. In this case, I think you need to take this little connection point and put it down.
So what I can do here is actually ungroup the audio and video, move this out of the way, take some of this, just a little bit, whoops, turn off the auto ripple, and then maybe just get rid of some of where my hand was blocking it. And then I can also clip out these empty portions. And find what works best in this case.
With the M key. In this case, I think you need to take this little connection point and put it down there first.
There we go. So much better.
I want this pin to go downwards. I'm going to hold it like that. Take this, put it in like so.
I was laughing because it was not very intuitive.
Slide it into the connection point. Hold it down. And lock it in. There we go.
Yeah, that was not the easiest little process there. With all of this audio, it's gonna definitely need to be cleaned up. So this is too loud.
And lock it in.
In this case, I might want to just clip out some of the audio. Oops, I have auto ripple on again. It can get irritating. But actually we want some of the back portion where my hand's not blocking it. I'm going to delete that. Just take out some of this.
Connection point. Hold it down and lock it in. There we go.
This might not be important to use there, so we can just put it down here
and slide it into the connection point.
Yeah, it's okay, I guess. Let's see what that looks like.
Like so, and slide it into the connection point. Hold it down and lock it in. There we go.
This edit is a little bit more intense than some of the other simple hands-on videos I was doing lately.
Like so, and slide it into the, go downwards. I'm gonna hold it like,
so I don't need this. Whoops. Actually, right here,
I'm gonna hold,
there's like a mouth sound that I don't want in there. We can delete that. Let's see what it looks like.
go downwards. I'm gonna hold it like that. Take this.
And what I can do here is zoom in. And then kind of realign it so that it makes more sense. Get my hand not so much in the frame.
Downwards. I'm gonna hold it like that. Take this, put it in like so, and slide it into the connection point. Hold it down and lock it in.
So in that case, we can, if I copy what I just did with the zoom in and then paste it on this one, I can either have the same framing or I can go in here and then scroll all the way to the side here and pull it back. These are called keyframes. So it's going to slowly come back out, at least a little bit of what I have, the space that I have. So we look at it again.
I'm gonna hold it like that. Take this, put it in like so, and slide it into the connection point. Hold it down and lock it in.
So it's
we
pulling
go.
back. That should be good.
That looks good. It's a little more difficult than you might think.
Let's take that out. Get rid of that.
Here we go. It's a little more difficult than you might think because you need to connect this to the drive first and then push it down into the slot, then lock it in. But then lock it in.
Might leave that in there. We'll see. Whoops. Sorry.
Pretty easy. Next up is to attach it to a computer and see how it works. Next up,
That's kind of irrelevant information. Get rid of it.
here is the moment of truth. Let's try it out. I must have already had it formatted, which is good.
Let's try to take a piece of this.
Truth.
Delete.
Kind of awkward how it connects to the device.
So I do want that in there because it is awkward.
I must have already had it formatted, which is good. But so far,
Let's reformat it just in case we fall. So I think in this situation I want to use exFAT. and then set that to whatever.
That's kind of relevant because exFAT is much better for those type of drives than using NTFS. So I'll probably leave that in there. I just need to make it much more concise to the viewer. Turn off the auto ripple. Go in here and delete all the useless pauses and everything else. That should be good. So in this case, I'm probably gonna use the latter portion because it's more relevant to the actual what I'm saying. So I'm gonna slide that down. Try it out.
Nice. Yeah.
Let's delete this so it's a little more concise. Oops. There we go.
Device. I must have already had it formatted.
What I can do here also is zoom in. So we open up, what is it called here again? Event pan crop. And then up here, we can either use the mouse or type in the value. So 1920 is 1080p. That way it's just more information on screen.
Device. I must have already had it formatted, which is good. But so far, let's reformat it just in case we fall. So I think in this situation, I want to use exFAT and then set that to whatever.
It's kind of relevant to the hands-on, kind of not so much, but I'm gonna leave it in.
Let's try some files out.
Now in this case,
The
I'm just gonna
design is a little awkward.
look for any relevant information that I was saying at the time that I want to include in the video. In this case, all of that is no good.
Clearly, the design is a little awkward.
So when I was doing that, it would be good to punch in on that. We do the same thing and then just move this over. Again, I recorded at 4K and I'm gonna render in 1080p. So I have a lot of extra pixels to work with. Let's punch into the entire thing. And then maybe rotate it a little bit here so it's not like weirdly angled.
Whatever. Clearly, the design is a little awkward because the connection points are right on.
So in that case, that big pause, we can cut that out. Delete. Let's take a little bit of this too. And then
A little awkward because the connection points are right on there.
save it.
Let's try this folder. 7 gigabytes.
So I do a test of transfer speeds.
So we're going at around 200.
I don't really need to show me making it happen. I just need to show what it was running at. So in that case, I can actually go back to here, right click copy, and then go back to, I think it was this, right click paste event attributes, and then it basically applies that crop to the footage.
The connection points are right on there. So we're going at around 280 megabytes a second. That could depend on the speed of the drive.
So what I can do here is ungroup the video and audio with U on the keyboard, and then delete this pause here. Let's delete all of them. So take this out. Whoops. Turn off auto ripple again. Delete. Oh, I kind of screwed that up. There we go. Delete that. And then just move these clips back over here. Get rid of that in piece. So it's just a little more concise.
So we're going at around 280
80 megabytes a second. That could depend on the speed of the drive inside the computer as well.
because it's the video and the audio are not super relevant to each other in this situation. So we can kind of make it more concise and viewable in that case. Let's take these, move them over. Get rid of that. Turn on auto ripple again.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
It's not very useful. Okay, here I was setting up for my other scene that I want to do with the phone. All of this is, I just let it continue recording. It's not useful to show anymore.
I have a phone with a USB-C port. Situation, the case is going to interfere.
In this case, I was just learning as I was going. But we can save a little bit of this for the noise reduction. Get rid of that. Paste this over here.
Next up, I have a phone with a USB-C port. Let's try it out.
So that is probably good.
Looks like the case is going to interfere. Looks like in this situation, the case is...
I basically redid what I was saying up here just to make it better.
with a USB-C port.
So in this case, I'm gonna just take a little bit of this just to show that I was connecting it, testing it, and we can zoom into that portion of the screen. So that the viewer can see it and understand what's going on. And actually, I'll probably leave the audio, but just make it less noticeable. In this case, go back here and just get rid of this empty portion. Delete. As you go and do editing, you'll learn and a lot of the key combinations.
Well,
they make things quite a bit faster.
A phone with a USB-C port. Looks like in this situation, the case is going to interfere with the connection point. There's just not enough space. Well, it is actually...
So it did connect and it did work. It was just basically barely touching.
So with this specific case, feels very loose, but it did connect. You can slide that down. There's a little light.
So actually, I'm probably not going to use...
This is going to interfere with the connection point. There's just not enough. The case feels very loose.
See, I actually like how that looks, but this is better information. So what I could do here is ungroup. Turn off the auto ripple again. Delete that. And then I can take some of this. So let's say this much. Ungroup that. Move it down here.
So with this specific case, feels very loose, but it did connect.
And then just delete this. Move this over here. And then go in and split that with S on the keyboard. And I hit DDD to cycle what tool I'm using. Control D to go back to the main pointer tool. Save it.
Did connect. You can slide that down. There's a little light on there. So if I'm careful, I think I could use it without removing the case.
So you can see here the footage is kind of like tilted. We can fix that.
But of course that'll depend on your case. Some of the stuff that I just copied over from the computer.
So I'm going to take that. I'm going to see how much.
Be careful. I think I could use it without removing the case.
Let's take that, delete this, we don't want it. Ungroup this footage with U. Ungroup. Go in here and then use S to split all the stuff that we don't want. And then you need to, whoops, turn off auto ripple again. I do that so much. it can get super irritating. But in this case, just get rid of all of the empty pauses that I was making so that it flows better. Then I can probably just delete this. Save it.
Connect. And slide that down. There's a little light on there. So
What we can do here is split that video, go into the event pan crop, and then just make it more relevant. So slide it over here. Actually, kind of like that. And I'm going to rotate it so the lines are straight. Straight-ish, I should say. That should be good. Save it.
did connect. And slide that down. There's a little light on there. So if I'm careful, I think I could use it without removing the case.
In this case, I'm going to just straighten it, but I need to zoom it a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to be blank on the edges. That should be good. Save it.
So if I'm careful, I think I could use it without removing the case. Some of the stuff that I just copied over from the computer.
Put that over. Get rid of these pause, like little pause sections. Delete. Control D. L. Control L, I should say. To turn on the auto ripple. So many key combinations.
Works. Nice to have those two ports on there.
I think it would be nice to have like a little control panel, which actually, when we get to Audacity, I use this to deal with that.
Two ports on there. Quite a bit of stuff. I don't think I have anything.
So in this case, I'm just looking for the portion of the video I was actually copying files over.
A few files. Let's try a few files. Each one of these are around 30 something megabytes each.
So we delete all that. I don't think I want this either. Go in here. Let me just
Put it into downloads. And check out the transfer speed.
oops. So that should be good enough. I don't think the viewer needs to see me, like the process of actually copying. So take this, delete that.
Something megabytes each. Just copy it.
Get rid of that. Save it.
Let's try a few files. Each one of these are around 30 something megabytes each. Put it into downloads. And check out the transfer speed.
Just gonna do a little bit more of that. And then we're gonna punch in as usual. Rotate it, because I didn't have it straight. Oops. Actually, I'm also going to turn off the auto ripple, ungroup this clip, go over here. Yeah, so in this case I don't have enough useful footage, if that makes sense. Because right there I pulled down that thing and it looks stupid. So I'm just gonna split it right there. Get rid of that.
Very nice. And of course you want to eject once you're done.
So I might as well put that in there. It's always good to tell people like the proper way to do things. In that case, ungroup. So we're gonna just move this audio over here. Get rid of this too.
And of course you want to eject once you're done.
Delete that. That's good.
It's very, very loose. So you'll potentially run into some issues with that.
Whoops.
I think you might want to buy an extension.
It's kind of relevant, but I didn't say much.
But a few things to take note of. You might have some issues connect.
That would work. Let's turn on the auto ripple again. And at this point, I need to look through and see which portions of the video I find relevant.
The main takeaway here is that you might have some issues connecting devices to the ports because they're so close. This is the M.2 device. Enjoyed this video on.
So this is probably a no-go. Get rid of that.
So the main takeaway here.
In this case, you can see I said so the main takeaway, and then I said the main takeaway. Try to avoid saying certain words over and over and over again.
So the main takeaway here is.
And then we just get rid of all of the garbage.
Once you're done, the main takeaway here is that you might potentially have some. The main takeaway here is that you might.
I screw it up again. So get rid of that.
The main takeaway here is that you might have.
Some people actually edit in reverse, which makes sense.
Have some issues connecting devices to the ports because they're so close to the actual case, and it's, you know, it's right there. So. Otherwise it works well.
Get rid of that.
With it functioning pretty quick. I mean, it depends on your SSD, but yeah. So that was that Ugreen M.2 connect. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video on the Ugreen M. That was that Ugreen. Yeah.
And right at this point, it's garbage. So get rid of that. And in this case, I need to ungroup the clips with U. Go in here, make sure auto ripple is turned off. Delete all of this blank space. So get rid of that. Go in here, get rid of that. Take this and fix that. So you see that the footage changes color. What it means there is that basically I'm adjusting the audio versus the video, and at least the program thinks that, you know, it just tries to warn you that you're offsetting the audio versus the video. In that case, let's take all these, push them down to the end, Control D to go back to the normal tool.
Otherwise it works well. No issues with it functioning pretty quick. I mean, it depends on your SSD, but yeah.
So that was much more concise. Much more. Delete that. Control D, Control S to save.
It's, you know, it's right there. Devices to the ports because
I'm going to do the same exact thing to this portion that I skipped. So ungroup, go in here, turn off auto ripple, go in here and delete that. A little bit more. We'll zoom in, delete, move this over. Let's actually move it all over. Go in here, delete this. So you can see the monotonous nature of some of this editing. It would be nice if I could have a computer do stuff like this instead of me doing it. To get rid of that, move this over with auto ripple, save it.
To the ports because they're so close to the actual case, and it's, you know, it's right there. So otherwise it works well.
Hear that? So
let's
get rid of that. right here. Turn off auto ripple, delete, 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 turn it back on, put this over here. I'm gonna make it even more concise by cutting this out. Get rid of, come on, split. Get rid of that, save it.
It's right there. Otherwise, it works well. No issues with it functioning pretty quick. I mean, it depends on your SSD.
What I could do here is maybe turn off auto ripple, just get this over here just in case, and then scroll it up like that.
You know, it's right there. Otherwise, it works well. No issues with it functioning pretty quick. I mean, it depends on your SSD, but yeah.
So a little more flow, the flow was better. Like that. Save it.
Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video on the Ugreen M.2 SSD enclosure with 2 ports on it. Scarf W Bonsai, thanks.
So split right there. I'm gonna save this portion. Delete that. Get rid of that. Delete that. We don't need that. So let's clean up this stuff over here. Let's turn on auto ripple. So all of this right here is for the noise reduction. I don't need that much, but it's nice to have. Let me just go like that. So in this case, we have a pretty functional video, but actually I see some more work that I need to do over here that I didn't do in the first place.
You've got the drive itself. It's got some weight to it.
So in this case, let's try to fix some of this stuff over here.
You've got the drive itself. It's got some weight to it.
I don't even need this. Let's get rid of that.
Little plastic nub drive itself. It's got some weight to it. Interesting. Build quality.
So what I'm going to do here is zoom in, which I didn't do as much as I should have done beforehand. So we'll just go over it one more time to straighten this. There we go. Save it. Always keep saving in this program. Always keep saving. Let's see. Maybe I should fix this up a little bit. So ungroup. Make sure auto ripple is turned off. Go in here. Get rid of that. The goal here is to make it as concise as possible, make the video flow decently well. And especially with this type of video, it's so easy to just cut out pieces of audio that you don't need. If you're talking to the camera, it's much more difficult because you have to like apply B-roll or something to it. Get rid of that. Delete. And then hopefully we don't need this. We might need it. Let me see. Save it.
The enclosure with 2 different
Ports on it, so you've got some more convenience with that. In the back, let's look at a little bit more information before we try out this SSD. USB-C with USB-A, also USB 3.1 Gen 2, 10 gigabits per second maximum.
Yeah, I don't think we need that. That should be good.
NVMe SSDs with the size of.
So I'm going to go in here, actually ungroup the clip, go in here, split this up, make this a little quieter. Just so when I do certain edits, I can deal with it better.
0. Pop it open. Instructions.
Let's not use that.
2280 instructions. For the installation, we're going to have to remove.
We don't need that. Control D, save it.
Both port covers and then press open a button to pull out the main board. Rotate at an angle of 45 degrees anti-clockwise to release the fastener on the main board, and then you insert your M.2 into the slot. After that, we have to attach the fastener and tighten.
What we can do here is at least zoom in so it's more relevant information. Let's go here. A little bit more. Little bit more. That should be good. I copy this, and then I'm going to paste that attribute all throughout. Oh, it's quite a bit. Yeah, right here. So I select these, right click, paste event attributes. So now all of those clips are zoomed in.
We're going to have to remove both
port covers, and then press open a button to pull out the main board. Rotate at an angle of 45 degrees anti-clockwise to release the fastener on the main board, and then you insert your M.2 into the slot. After that, we have to attach the fastener and tighten by rotating at an angle of 45 degrees clockwise, and reinstall the case. So it looks like you don't need any type of screwdriver, which is nice. There is some type of screw in this little bag. It's a little plastic nub. The drive itself, it's got some weight to it. Interesting.
Let's just straighten that a little bit. Save it.
drive itself. It's got some weight to it. Interesting. Build quality feels pretty good so far. Got the USB-A port on there.
Let's turn that down.
Got the USB-A port on there.
We can zoom that in.
So far. Got the USB-A port on there on the side. USB-C.
We don't actually need. Well, yeah, that should be okay. Should be okay.
On there, on the side, USB-C, so you can connect to phones and similar devices. It's very nice.
Let's get rid of that. We don't need it. Delete. Let's make this more concise. Get rid of that. Save it.
Devices, and we've got the open connection to get it going.
Zoom in.
And we've got the open connection to get it going. So it actually comes with two of those little connectors. And I assume just I can leave this one in there, put the other one in.
So I need to fix all of that I missed. Ungroup. Go in here. Get rid of all of this. Whoops. Turn off auto ripple. Delete, delete.
Connector.
So you hear the click, the connector, connector. We need to deal with the mouse sound. So in that case, I'm gonna split there and then just lower the volume on it.
Connectors.
So it's a lot less clicky of a sound.
Connectors.
There we go. Save it. That should be good. Move this over. Save it.
Makes sense. We have the actual connection point on there for the drive. You've got the 2242 connection and also the 2280. On the back, you really can't see too much, but there is some ventilation, which is good.
We don't need all of that. Get rid of it.
I'm going to try to install it now. We have the NVMe.
This is a little louder than it should be. So we can at least try to lower it. There's quite a bit to try to get decent consistency to the audio.
I'm going to try to install it now. We have the NVMe 256 gigabytes from Western Digital with the M key.
Whoops. So I made an accident here. I pulled down both the video and audios. You can see how that gets dark. So that was not intentional.
I'm going to try to install it now. We have the NVMe 256 gigabytes from Western Digital with the M key. In this case, I think you need to take this little connection point and put it down there first.
One thing I'm going to do before I forget is go into the main track, select it, then go into your tools video and video track FX. Inside there, you have a bunch of plugins that you can use. Going to select levels, so Vegas levels. Go in there and then just increase the gamma so that the darks are not as dark. Just so it makes it a little easier to see what's going on.
Down there first.
I've had complaints about that stuff. So many complaints.
With this pin to go
Mostly older videos, but yeah.
Downwards. I'm going to hold it like that. Take this, put it in like so, and slide it into the connection point. Hold it down and lock it in. There we go. It's a little more difficult than you might think because you need to connect this to the drive first and then push it down into the slot, then lock it in. Here is the moment of truth. Kind of awkward how it connects to the...
Let's zoom in there.
Then lock it in. Here is the moment of truth. Kind of awkward.
Let's really zoom in there. Something like that.
Flat, then lock it in. Here is the moment of truth. Kind of awkward how it connects to the device. I must have already had it formatted.
Which is good. But so far, let's reformat it just in case we fall. So I think in this situation I want to use exFAT and then set that to whatever. Clearly the design is a little awkward because the connection points are right on there. So we're going at around 280 megabytes a second. That could depend on the speed of the drive inside the computer as well. Next up I have a phone with a USB-C port.
Let's straighten that footage real quick. See how the lines are not straight. I'm sure someone would complain if they could. That should be good.
Computer as well. Next up I have a phone with a USB-C
Oh, look at that line on the bottom. It's not straight, but
port.
whatever.
So with this specific case, it feels very loose, but it did connect. You can slide that down. There's a little light on there. So if I'm careful, I think I could use it without removing the case. Let's try a few files. Each one of these are around 30 something megabytes each. Put it into downloads and check out the transfer speed. And
So I can actually tell that some of this is not in focus. That doesn't look like it's in focus. I probably should not get that close because it's going to be noticeable.
loads and check out the...
So I need to straighten that. Let me just copy, paste, and then move this down a little bit. Something like that.
30 something megabytes each. Put it into downloads and check out the transfer speed. And of course you want to eject once you're done. The main takeaway here is that you might...
Let me straighten that too. Zoom in a little bit, straighten. That should be good.
Transfer speed. And of course you want to eject once you're done. The main takeaway here is that you might have some issues connecting devices to the ports because they're so close to the actual case.
So you can use the L key to speed up the talking, but sometimes when you're watching it and you have it in fast mode like this,
And it's, you know, it's right there. Otherwise, it works well. No issues with it functioning pretty quick.
it's okay, but you won't necessarily get the right flow and the right feel of the footage as it's playing. Sometimes I just like to watch it at the regular speed in that case.
And it's, you know, it's right there. Otherwise, it works well. No issues with it functioning pretty quick. I mean, it depends on your SSD, but yeah. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video on the Ugreen M.2 SSD enclosure with 2 ports on it. Scott Photography Bonsai, thanks.
Save it. Let me check, see how long that took. About an hour. No, that's not right. Hour 60 minutes. But we're not done yet. There is more. Now we've got a bunch of footage over here, or audio I should say. Let me just make sure I don't have any weird little blips. Delete that. Look at it, see it looks okay. And then we have all of this clipped up footage. At this point you'd have a decent-ish video, but the audio is going to be super variable. It's not going to be loud enough type of thing. In that case, we can, there's a few things that I can do. One, I can take all of it and export it into its own track so that it's one continuous piece, which is a good option. I can export it to a WAV file, which is also a good option, but they basically do the same thing. But one other way to, I think, do it properly, let's just do render to new track. So it's going to take this audio, give it a second. I need to pick just audio. I'm not going to render the video plus the audio. So we have Wave Microsoft, 48 kilohertz, 32-bit, float, stereo. That's the one I use. And I just need to go to the proper directory. In here, we can select Ugreen. I'm going to make a new folder. Voice, put that in there. And I'm going to just add a clipped voice 01. Save it. Make sure that it is not the loop only. It's the full entire thing. Again, render. So now we have that. I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to go into here, hit the U key, ungroup. So I ungrouped all the video, all the audio to all of it separated. And then we can delete that. Whoops. Turn off auto ripple. Auto ripple. That always screws me over. Turn that off. Then hit delete. Now we've got that plus that. I'm going to actually save as a different project. So we'll do V2. That way I have the old one if I need it, if I want to use it. Because sometimes I might have made a mistake. I have to go back. So in that case, we can get rid of this track for the moment. Let's expand this. And I'm going to right click and select normalize. Normalize will make it louder. But you can still see there's some issue with that. I'm going to go in here, split that, go into here. This specific piece is very loud. So I'm going to actually change one of the keys where I have Control N for normalize. That's not standard. But I'm going to do it on the keyboard because it's faster. But you can also right click and then go into, let's see, where is it? Switches. Go into switches, normalize. You can turn that on, turn it off. And you need to toggle it because sometimes you change something. When you split a clip, normalize will be different for that clip because it's smaller, longer, type of thing. So I can toggle normalize on this clip right here. You'll see that it changes height. It got louder, which is what we want. We just want consistency through the audio. So in that case, we go into probably right here and then do the toggle of the normalize so it's louder. Let's go here. See, the one problem when you do this is that if you clip too small, you're going to get some weird fluctuation. But the thing is, there are quite a few peaks that are not good. So like this thing is going to mess up the other audio. Just toggle, normalize. And then if I go into here and isolate that, go into here to the normalize toggle again. And we do it one more time. Let me see what I want to clip. Let's clip right here. So split that. Actually, I'm going to go back here and do it, say, about that much. Toggle the normalize. And this is messing stuff up. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. I'm sure there's a way to get more consistent. You can use a compression tool or compression filter, but it really depends on the situation if it's going to work well or not. But at the very least, this is what I do sometimes. So at this point, I'm going to save it. I'm going to export this audio again and then pull it into Audacity and use their noise reduction because I like how it works. So file export, or render as, I should say, and then render it as the 48 kilohertz 32-bit wave file. Can change the name of it to so at this point we're going to pull up Audacity and then also pop in that thing we just exported. This one right here. Like I said, I set up a little keypad for this specific program where I can zoom and zoom out. Although all I'm going to do here is do the noise reduction. Just get rid of some of this audio. For the noise reduction, you need a sample that is good, just background noise. That's why I was saving a bunch of clips in my video to get that background noise. I'm just removing any portion that I think probably is not, it's like some weird pop or something like that that I don't want to apply to the noise reduction. That should be probably good enough. And I'll select this entire piece of background noise and then go into normalize, which you can actually go into the menu. Let's see, it's in the effects. Let's see. I usually use the key, so I'm not, or it says noise reduction. And then you get the noise profile of the selection. And then you have to select everything. And then go back into the effect, noise reduction. And then you actually apply it. I have these settings, 15.3 for the dB sensitivity. It seems okay, but you can always adjust those to make it work better based on your audio. And there applies it.
Choose connecting devices to the ports because they're so close to.
And see,
check out the.
It definitely cleans things up. In this case, we can delete all of that. We don't need it. And then, yeah, I'm going to export this as a wave again. Same thing, 32-bit. Fixed. So I'll say in our fixed voice. Just do that and then go into the proper directory. Go into there, save it. I'm going to keep that around for the moment. Then drag it over here. This is our new clip. We can get rid of all of this audio. We don't need that. Delete. Pull in our new clip. How many news are there? There's 3 news. Now we've got the best version of the audio we can get, but I actually do even more. Let's save this as a new project. Number 3, save it.
In the back, let's look at a little bit more information before we try out this SSD.
You can
USB-C with.
You can tell it's much louder.
With USB-A, also USB. For the installation, we're gonna have to put the other one in. That makes sense.
So at this point, it actually sounds pretty good, but there is a tool inside Vegas, or a plugin, I should say. You want to select your track, so the entire thing. You're gonna go in here, add a new effect, and it's called the EFX Vocal Strip. So I think it's a third-party tool, but it came with version 18 of Vegas Pro. Let's go OK. I'm going to delete these other effects that I don't want. In this case, we can
more information before we try out this
have it
SSD.
play,
USB-C with USB-A, also USB 3.1 Gen 2, 10 gigabits per second maximum, and it supports the M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs with the size of 2242 or 2280. For the installation, we're going to have to remove both port covers and then press open.
So in this case, you got these high-pass gate de-esser for the S sounds, compression, and tone. I just apply these based on preference. With the compression, I add a little bit. The thing, compression is a difficult one because if you use it improperly, it makes the background like ambient not good. So I try to apply not so extreme amounts of compression, especially at this point.
Rotates at an angle of 45 degrees anti-clockwise to release the fastener on the main board, and then you insert your M.2 into the slot. After that, we have to attach the fastener and tighten by rotating at an angle of 45 degrees clockwise, and reinstall the case. So it looks like you don't need any type of screwdriver, which is nice.
That'll be good. At this point, it is loud enough that I might add just like a little bit of a negative dB, like native 0.5, just in case.
I'm gonna try to install it now. We have.
So I think that's good. I'd probably rewatch it, but at this point.
And we've got the open connection to get it going. Put the other one in. That makes sense.
So this little portion's kind of quiet compared to the other stuff. Also, with this specific tool, I should mention that it has a weird thing that I'll show you how to deal with. If you right-click on this area, it selects the volume envelope. Now we've got a little line there where you can adjust how loud or quiet every section is with the line. It's pretty nice. If we zoom in quite a bit here, right at the beginning of the clip with this specific tool, sometimes there's like a pop that we don't want. You just double click on the line, you get a little point, you can move the point. That's how it works. So I just drag all the way down right at the beginning. And that's good there. If we go back to this portion, say like right here, double click, and then increase this.
With the size of 2242 or 2280.
So it makes it a little bit louder, which is good. Go here. Go here. Make that louder.
It supports the M.2 PC.
It's a little too loud there. Delete that.
And it supports the M.2 P.
Too loud.
Supports the M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs with the size of 2242. With the size of.
It's probably a little too extreme.
It's the M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs with the size of 2242 or 2280. For the installation, we're going to have to remove both port covers and then USB-C so you can connect to.
So for some reason this didn't get loud enough. I'm pretty sure I clipped it to make it work, but there's always something. Always something. I'm just going in here trying to make certain portions of the audio more consistent. I mean, it's at least the same level of loudness.
Port on there. On my side, USB-C, so you can connect to phones and similar devices. And we've got the open connection to get it going.
Save it.
Wait to it. Interesting. Build quality feels pretty good so far.
At this point, I'm doing too much. I just try to make it decent, but
it's a little plastic nub.
Let me fix that real quick. Whoops. Slightly higher.
Little bag. It's a little plastic nub.
Save it. Now we need music. For I've got the YouTube, and then I have the Amazon Creator Hub thing, or whatever they call them. I don't know. But I can't obviously use YouTube audio music for that because it's not copyrighted for that specific use case. Let me pause my music here. We've got some options. I already have them in here. Or at least I thought I did. I have a previous project that I can pull up. Let me make a new file explorer. So let's go into my last one. We've got this one for YouTube. Paste it in here. I'm going to Amazon Music. Oops, copy this one. These Dano songs, I licensed this back in 2014, I think it was. He's changed his format for music, but all of the previous licenses are still good. And I've been using his stuff for these specific like use cases. Paste it in here. And I'll do the Amazon one first. So actually let's save this. File save as, and then call it Amazon. Go there. Now we've got a new project. Going to go back to that folder and copy the, or no, I already pulled it in. I did not pull it in. There we go. Getting confused here. We don't want that. Where is it? There we go. Here we go. Where is it? Dano songs, pull it in to the project. Let's pull in the YouTube one while we're here. So take the Dano songs one, drop it into here. Now I have them set up so I have to define what levels of the music versus the talking. I usually do -21. And then if it fits, I'm going to delete this little portion of the opening because it's super quiet. I don't like it that much. But I can scroll there and go here, delete that. And then I want to fade out as I'm ending the video. It should be right there. And you fade the audio out.
SSD enclosure with.
You can mute your voice track so you can listen to the music. That should be good. Now let's turn the audio back, voice back on.
Way here is that you might have some issues connecting devices.
So I'm just trying to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more engaging with music. That should be good. Gonna actually do that.
.2 NVMe SSD.
So we're basically done. One other thing I'm going to do that I'm going to copy from my previous project is just a little bit of text at the end defining the video, the music, at least for the Amazon version. So I actually have the previous project loaded up here, which was on a USB thing that I use actually for the Ninja 5 to copy from the SSD to the computer. But up here, we've got this little text. And you can see Scott Waldron, Photography Bonsai, background music, Dan O'Connor, Daniel Songs, licensed 2014. Copy that. So Control C. And then go in here, paste it, Control V. There we go.
Enclosure with 2 ports on it.
So that's just
Photography Bonsai, thanks.
It's good. Save it. Now we've got our Amazon project. Normally I would watch it and just make sure I don't have anything that's messed up in there and render it. But also after I do this, I make the YouTube version, which I'm not going to put it on the main, this channel, I'm going to put on another channel. And I have affiliate links and all that, which I'm just trying to make some of my money back from buying this stuff. So hopefully, you know, a few people buy it, which would be nice. But I think that's good enough for this stream. You can get an idea of how this all works, how long it takes to make a video like this. This is actually a lighter, smaller edit, if you can believe, than some, especially the photography videos take a lot more time. This one, not so much, but still it took an hour and 38 minutes to get to this point. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful, especially if you're into this specific program. Obviously, there's a lot that is specific to the editor you're using, but there is also a lot of things that can apply to any type of editor, just in general, doing video editing. I think you could learn a little bit out of it. So yeah, Photography Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.